All right, looks like I am live. So last stream I started this sketch. I think it's done. It could be more, but I don't think it needs to be more. I think it's fine as it is. I'm gonna give it a quick run through. Yeah, simple. It's not too complicated. I like this sort of drum filtering section here. The string is from Serum. I really like these new multi-sample instruments that they've got here. Sometimes they can be augmented with a synth layer. Sometimes they don't need it. Someone said this was cheesy. I don't know. I like it. Maybe it is a bit. If it wasn't me, I don't know how I'd feel about it. Yeah, since the last stream, I did a few little things. Well, actually, the biggest thing, the last stream I had instead of these chords, these are like major 7th chords. Whereas before I had these guys. Oh, because it's soloed. Before it was like this. Kind of dead mousey vibes. I liked it, but I feel like it's a little bit more subtle and a bit less, I don't know, a bit less biting of a certain style. It's like, yeah, I think it's a little better. I like the old one, but I think that one is just a little bit less cheesy sounding. Like the other one was nice, but it was also kind of obvious sounding. And yeah, this was just a Surge XT preset. And then I automated the release and the decay. So you can hear them both opening up a bit. Didn't really see, oops, I didn't really see the knobs moving. Oh yeah, there they go. You can see them moving. And that just made it more open. The other tweak I did to the preset was just moved the morph a little bit, so it was more like sine waves, and now they've got a bit more brightness to them without being bright. They're just not just sine waves. And then this guy, this is again the Glockenspiel. Ooh. My battery light is flashing. Quite thin on its own. So then you just layer sine waves. Okay, are you going to charge or are you not going to charge? Make up your mind. Maybe I'll just run it on battery for a while and see if it charges itself again when it's needing a charge. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I liked that vocal, and this drum loop inspired the whole direction of the track. I have it high passed in places where the bass comes in. So in these sections, kind of alternates with the drum loop, and then I high pass the drum loop to have the bass come more regularly. Because Because if the bass... You can hear that would clash with the low end of the bass. And yeah, during this breakdown, this bus is all just the drums, and I filtered it right down. This crash is I found again inside the like factory non-tonal samples. They've got all sorts of stuff. So I layered a crash with itself, but it's spectral and slowed down. You can hear it's a little bit grainy sounding, but blended with that just means we've got like a crash with a longer tail. And then I did the same thing with this guy. I just have a side chain on it. It's just a different symbol from the factory sounds inside Serum. And but yeah, the sample's quite short, and then this just sort of stretches it out a bit. Can do the same sort of thing with reverb. I just thought I would experiment with something else. And yeah, that's pretty much... Oh, the other thing I added off stream was the shaker. And I used kilohertz dynamics to kind of not quite gate it, just kind of gating without it. With every time the signal goes below a certain point, it starts, yeah, basically gating it. Gives it a bit more rhythmic space. So without the processing, frequency shifted it as well. There was something in the high end that felt like it was clashing with the other hi-hats and things. And I felt like that was better. And then I passed it significantly. And then the gate. It's also being sent to my reverb send. Very subtle reverb. I don't think I often talk about the master chain in my streams. I've got a high pass here at nearly 40 hertz. I'm constantly figuring out my low end. I've got a sub at the moment. I mean, I've had a sub for a long time. I just haven't always needed to use it. But in this particular room, I feel like it's needed. And it's been interesting just hearing the subtleties of sub. I think it's good. I've heard some people advocate for not using a sub for mixing, but we are making dance music. I think it's good to hear what's going on down there as clearly as you can. And then this is multi-band Reaper's Re-X comp. I've added a band in my master chain that goes from, what is this? So this is going 0 to 100 hertz. This is going 100 to 200 hertz. Separately, the default isn't set up that way. It just means I can compress the super low stuff and then the low mids separately. And you can see I've turned the low mids down a bit. Yeah, usually this chain goes on. I have it like a preset somewhere. It was called Master Crusher. It's a very old preset of mine, but I've been tweaking it here and there. It has a couple more plugins that I've removed. It's got limiter number 6. It always looks extreme when you look at this meter, but it's only 3 dB of limiting. I've got it on ISP precise. ISP stands for intersample peaks, so it seems to do a really good job of getting intersample peaks. I can't explain exactly what that means. My understanding is like if you have 2 samples next to each other, the signal between the 2 might add up to more than a dB or something like that. Yeah, it's a sort of a scientific thing that I've read up on it ages ago, and I still couldn't tell you exactly how it works. And then there's some multi-band clipping on this band. On this section, multi-band clipper. And then, yeah, this is a soft limiter. So it gets a bit of soft limiting, then clipping, and then more limiting. So it's quite a lot if you think about it, plus the multi-band. But usually when I switch this chain on, I'll hear a bit of clipping until I sort of do a bit of multi-band compression just to tighten things up a little bit. And sometimes you hear things in the mix that sound different when you switch it on. I mean, if I turn this off, that's before. Sounds more or less the same, but yeah, sometimes when you get that much compression happening, you suddenly notice things in the mix that need a tweak. Yeah. And sometimes I also put a clipper on, like my drums might have a clipper on it. Yeah. You don't want to hear clipping. If you do hear clipping, it's like you've gone too far. But it sometimes helps gain a little bit more headroom on the master, which I think it has in this track. Some people seem to just use clippers and no limiter. I think, I don't know. It depends on the track for me. I've had tracks where I've literally just put a clipper on the master and been done. And I've had others where I want to get more granular with it. So anyway, I just thought I'd play that so you guys can hear how it progressed from the last stream. I'm happy with it. I might release it or something. I don't know. I haven't figured out what I want to release yet. I feel like I'm still getting back into production. So I'm trying to just get into the groove of making stuff all the time and not before I start thinking about releasing, you know. This is something I started yesterday. Different vibe. Feels louder to me. Guess it's quite spacious, so. I don't know what you'd call this genre-wise. Yeah, don't know what to make of this one. It's probably a bit cheesy as well. A bit of movement going on in the space, and then I low past it. Just to be a bit more subdued sounding. The movement in it is created by this guy. This LFO2 is turning down the oscillators from time to time, giving them a bit of movement, and then, so yeah, when this goes up, it's turning stuff down. And then it's also mapped to this notch filter, and I guess the high pass. So just creating a bit of movement, and then the rate of this LFO is being modulated by this guy, as well as by the note. So if I press a higher note, it goes a bit faster. If I press a lower note, it goes a bit slower. All just to create a little bit of randomness with some degree of predictability, I suppose. What was this being used for? I'm not sure. Anyway, pretty sort of Reese sounding bass, I suppose. If I turn off the sub, we've just got a saw wave with, what is this warp mode? Odd even. Kind of, that sounds like 2 octaves of sine wave, so it was somewhere between. So it kind of gives the higher harmonic overtone, I suppose, and then there's unison on it. And then it goes into bus. This bus where there's a bunch of things happening. This is all part of my like basic sub preset. Sort of has everything I need to make layers on top of the sub, if you know what I mean. Which goes to bus 1. So yeah, there's hyper dimension or chorus. Yeah, there's a bit of both on these things. And then a bit of distortion. EQ is just high passing this layer. Utility is narrowing the stereo width a little bit. But that's without. It's quite wide. And then there's reverb. Kind of fairly wet for this layer. And yeah, then the sub goes to the main, where I've got that notch happening. That's why the sub also phases out at times. And then I guess the distortion was just kind of giving it a bit more body and gluing it all together. This is a similar preset to the one in the previous track. Again, the multi-sample oscillator, and then the factory mallet glockenspiel. And I've got, yeah, just a sine wave underneath. With a bit of modulation on the tube. No, not on the tube, on the volume. So this is modulating the volume, and then the rate is being modulated by the note. So if it's a higher note, it goes a bit faster. Wrong one. I've got OTT quite a lot on this track, sort of dialed down. It sort of brings up the highs and the shimmeriness a little bit. Also tames those transients a little bit. Okay, let's see if this laptop's going to charge again. Nope. Like charge light flashes. And what's funny is I often close REAPER and reopen it, and then it's fine. It's so strange. It's like it's drawing more power than it's able to charge or something. I don't know what else this flashing light would mean. But you'd think it's just not making good contact, but then you shut down and it makes fine contact. I just don't understand this laptop's charger. It's just flashing. Charge, you bugger. Ooh, stable now. Nope. I mean, really. This is such a ridiculous oversight on Lenovo's part. It's an old laptop, but it makes you not want to buy a brand for years, you know? Yeah. Between that and the keyboard having dead keys, makes you want to just buy a desktop computer. There are things I wanted a laptop for, like having visuals at a gig, but there's no way I would rely on this at a gig. Hell no. How far down has the battery plummeted? It's already at half. Almost half. Just in those few minutes. What else is here? This is just a contact patch. From the factory library. Without OTT. So it's one of those funny things that just helped a little bit in the mix. I've got a labs choir in here. Ooh. Charge. And then I think there was a string sound. No. This is like a granular cymbal reverse. I figure I can just play it on different notes at different times. And have it be a sort of reliable length, no matter what note I play. So that's handy. I'm really hoping this will start to charge again. It's flickering, flickering, flickering. The drums on this, I guess, were interesting. These hats. The dry wet here is for Portal. I found some preset that sounded cool in Portal, but not all the time, so. I guess it's called Decimated Space. It was inside the drums section of Portal. Then on this, where's the drum loop? This is a drum loop with this frequency magnet by Stepwise. It's a free plugin, sort of a spectral plugin. So without it, just a chopped up break. I kind of chopped the snare out of it. So it had space for my snare. But yeah, this thing is interesting. It's sort of you can sort of tune the frequency that it sort of hones in on and then adjust the width and the width bias. And go back to how it was. I added a bunch of different Foley from various libraries. So this one was called Empty Spray Can. Might have pitched it down. No, not really. What is this? This was some balloon sound. Sounds like keys. Just called Metal One Shot. Got a clap. Oh, got a loop brace there. Simple clap and then another clap. Then I decided to play in the snare. So I just used the RS5K drum manager, RS5K manager. It's a script. And yeah, I just dragged in a snare. The one thing I always do is I switch automatic record arm when track selected. That's how all my MIDI tracks are in Reaper. When I click on the track, it's immediately playable. If it's a MIDI track, I've got things soloed here. Muted there. Yeah, you get the idea. And yeah, I often forget to switch that for this. When you first load the RS5K manager, it creates this MIDI bus. And then it's record armed, and I click away, and I forget that it's still record armed. Luckily, Reaper usually warns me that there's more than one thing record armed. Hey, it's charging again. Touch wood. All right. So yeah, that was this idea. It's kind of melancholy. It was just something I made. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I took away the vocals in this funk jam and processed the keyboard a little bit more and the drums a little bit as well. This is where the vocal was last time. I've tried my best to make it work, and I opened it today and I was like, Rick, no. It doesn't work. So I will figure out something for it because it's kind of empty. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. Figure something out for that eventually. Then there was this techno track. I think this one's pretty much done. I think I made it slightly longer after the last stream. I'm going to give this a quick playthrough. There's one weird thing with one of those stepwise plugins with the percussion. I could maybe just bounce it, but it doesn't play. If I solo this track, you don't hear the plugin. The only time you hear it is when this dry wet knob is automated. So there and here. And then as soon as it goes full wet, you don't hear it anymore. My fix is just to go change the FFT size back again, back to where it was. And now it's working again. I should probably just bounce the track so that I don't have that issue in future, but maybe I must just make a note somewhere so I know what to do if I ever open it again. This one was so loud. I literally just put the chain on it, the mastering chain, and it was loud. And I can't really hear the artifacts. It never happens. I dig it. It's simple. It's kind of long, but I felt it needed that length. Like when I was just chilling, kind of getting into the zone. It's kind of hypnotic, you know. I felt like it was some of the 303 sections had to be longer, just because you kind of get into the zone with them. Yeah, it's one of those fine balances. Some styles, some people would call it repetitive, and some might think it's perfect. And something about this, it reminds me of early music that I dabbled with making in loop-based programs like EJ. There was EJ Techno EJ2, and Techno EJ4. So I recreated one of those tracks on stream. I think you might have heard it if you've been watching for a while. But then that was Techno 4. Techno 2 had these long droning pads like the one that I have here. And like, it's amazing. Like, you don't need to change the chords or anything. It just sets a tone for the whole track. And I don't know. There's a bit of nostalgia for me hearing this stuff. And I feel like making some more. Something more similar in that vein. Try and put together a few tracks that have that vibe. Hypnotic, but not copying another hypnotic style. Like, there's a lot of hypnotic techno out there. I think, I don't know. I would like to carve my own lane somehow. So this was, I think, the kick I used before. It's from Serum. I created it. All of these. Sometimes they need a bit more, like they're quite clean. So in the last track, I threw air lo-fi on it to give it some noise. And with the glitch hop track, it was one of these. And I also layered it with, I think, a decap kick for like a more of a tonal sound on some of the kicks. Quite like that one. Don't think I've used it yet. I've got a minus 10 dB pad on my monitoring chain so that I can play mastered music, which we back at the creation stage. I don't put the mastering chain on till the end or near the end. Once I sort of have a full production, not necessarily the finished track, just when it's kind of full, is when I like to start dialing that stuff in. Yeah, and I usually do it off stream just because as soon as I put that chain on, I don't know, I like to do that. It's not like a creative. Well, I suppose I should do it on stream sometime. I don't know. I usually just don't. Okay, we're at 122 BPM. So if I want to speed this up, the first thing I'm going to do is set the track time base to beats position only, which means when I change the tempo, these kicks will stay on the grid, but they won't be time stretched. If you use position, length, and rate, that one is for loops. So if you've got a loop that's stretched, then you'll want to use that for the for a track with a loop on it, basically. And the MIDI tracks, I think my template has it set to that by default. So I have a shortcut that adds this track in yellow, and it's a track template that I've saved. It's just called blank virtual instrument. And the way I'm loading it is using, if you go extensions, SWS, if you have these installed, there's a section here called resources. And in resources, you can put things in slots, and then there are corresponding action actions. Let me find that shortcut. Here it is. Shift Z is my shortcut. Create MIDI take lane. And if I edit the action, it's calling resources, import tracks from track template, slot 1. So here's slot 1. It's the blank virtual instrument in the resources menu of SWS. So that's the one thing it does. The other thing is it sets it to the same folder as the previous track. And that just means if I make a new track down here, if I just double click, you'll see it's not in my drums folder. But if I press my shortcut, you'll see it jumps into the folder. And I think I've combined the undos. So when I press undo, it deletes the track and undoes both those actions. And that's also a setting when you create a macro in here. Where do we go? Edit action, consolidate undo points. So yeah, this now acts as one undo. So when I hit undo, it undoes both of these things. Quite handy if you're stacking a bunch of things under one key press. There's times where you will want that, and there's times where you won't, I guess. Anyway, I digress. Let's change the tempo. The other track was 128. Maybe we even go a bit faster, I'll see. Like almost tempted to go like progressive trance vibes. This track is just one of those tracks, but it's been colored purple. And yeah, there's various things I set up about this track template. One of them is that it monitor input is switched on, automatic record arm when track selected is on. I've also got something on the input effects chain. This is PIZ MIDI notch filter. This lets me block, in this case, channel pressure. So aftertouch. I found certain synths I was using were very sensitive to aftertouch, and I would be playing and having aftertouch that I didn't want. So I've been notching it out. If I do want channel pressure, I can just come in here and switch it off. Because it's on the input effects chain as opposed to the normal effects chain, which actually has nothing on it. If I click on here, there's nothing there. The reason I put it on the input effects chain is it literally doesn't get recorded. Whereas if you put it in here, then it would be recorded, but you'd be bypassing it basically. But it would be cluttering your piano roll. So yeah, that's just something I have in this template. I used to have more stuff. I used to have recontrol MIDI so I could automate the pitch bend and mod wheel. But since Reaper 6, I think, they've made the piano roll like automation for pitch bend and CCs a little bit more user-friendly. So I've taken that out of my template. What else is special about this? It's pretty much the same as if you go insert new virtual instrument on track. I think I've got inputs, record, MIDI overdub. So yeah, by default, I'll be using it in overdub mode for MIDI. And then I've also got it set to all MIDI inputs. And then I've mapped all the inputs to channel 1. Some MIDI controllers, like certain ones for Ableton Live, like the MPK Mini, I think it was the APC key. Akai APC key. It's the one with grid, the little grid for launching, kind of like a mini launch pad. and then below it, it's got like 2-octave mini keyboard. I used to find it would randomly be sending channel 7 or channel 6, and there was no rhyme or reason that I could see. Maybe it was just the last state that Ableton left that little keyboard in, was whatever channel it was sending in Reaper, which was really weird. So mapping all inputs to channel 1, I have that set. If I need to change that, I can just go in there and say source channel. Yeah. Or you could lock it to one particular keyboard and then have it always recording. Like if a friend is jamming on your controller and you want them to be able to carry on messing around while you produce, you could just override the automatic record arm and choose one input for the MIDI source. So very flexible, good old Reaper. Yeah. What are we doing? Are we going to do trancey stuff? I don't know. Guess we'll find out. This is the same sub patch I've been using for a while since Serum 2 came out. Basically, this oscillator is going to filter 2. And filter 2 velocity is affecting how much this envelope 3 affects it. So the harder I hit, the more the cutoff is affected by this envelope. And then I've also got the velocity affecting the decay. So if I press it softly, the filter opens slowly and the decay is quick. And if I press it hard, you can see the decay taking longer to go down. You can't actually see it. I don't know why. There's a little blue dot there to show that the decay is more open when I hit it hard. And then from filter 2, if we click on here, the filter 2 is going output none, and then it's going out to bus 1. So on bus 1, we can process it. There's a high pass. Charge lights flashing again. How far charged are we? Not very. The mysterious Lenovo charging habits. Just fiddling with my charger. Still not charging. Ooh, there we go. Could be interesting if we mess with it. Gonna copy this tape delay of mine into the drum bus. I like them to be independent. I'm going to automate that, send volume. And we're back on battery. It's funny because for days it was fine and I didn't have to touch it, and suddenly middle of the day yesterday it messed up again. So utterly random. This one doesn't have the tail, so I'm going to put the tail in. There we go. There's a bit of a bug there. It wasn't working for a while. Maybe 2 bars. Could also offset the phase by like 25%. Have to hold shift maybe to get the fine tuning. There we go, 25. And then I want to send it to the delay from time to time. Do more destruction. There we go. Change the pitch of the kick. Feels a bit more cohesive now. Which is ironic because it was the same key as the bass. I'm going to also automate the mix of the comb. Oh, wow. Oh, I automated something else. Mod to amount. So it's, whoa, that's pretty cool though. It was an accident, but I like it. Really cool. Okay, let's look for a hat. Excuse me, was just switching on the lights. Could play that in, but I think I'll just sequence it. Why? Mod 2 amount. I touched this last. Mix. You know what? I think I have to do it while stopped. Nope, even that isn't working. I've had weird bugs with Serum 2 like this before. Nope. Is it going to let me do anything else? No. It's literally not. It's stuck. Sending the last touched as a mod 2 amount. What is this? Filter comb mix. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put it on a macro, because that'll be easy enough to find. Comb mix. I'm pretty sure if I restart Reaper, that would be gone again. It's a strange issue I've had specifically with Serum 2. Here's macro 1. Or not. Oh, maybe it's called mix. Maybe it's called what I labeled it. Yeah, comb mix. Well, that's pretty cool that it shows you that. Now it's last touched, of course. What did I want to do? I wanted to do this one as well. But it's not happening. I'm going to save and reload. I guess it's progressive trance. I don't know. Don't ask me about genres, bro. Could be a Reaper bug, to be honest. I'm still... Yeah. I own Reaper 6. And on my other laptop, I still have Reaper 6. I must say, the amount of updates they've made, I'm starting to want to buy Reaper 7. There are lots of little quality of life things that are improved, in my opinion. No recently touched. See, this is a Serum 2 bug. If I move something here, it's last touched. It's definitely, I don't know how that works, but it's a weird thing with Serum 2. I've had this happen to me before. Quite mysterious. Is it definitely just the mix? Nope. That did it too. Oh, it's Serum Effects. Maybe it's a Serum Effects issue. Let's do something else, like change an LFO level. One of those. A level. Okay. So that works. The mix controls don't. Nor do the levels. Maybe that's just how it is. Maybe it's not a bug. This is ring mod. Oh my god, I've been muted for a while. Hi, Nod was one. Welcome. How you doing, man? Crap. I was talking for a while. It's all good. Struggling with my laptop charger again. I'm going to put a stereo width effect on here. Yeah, it's a very strange intermittent fault indeed. I'm doing good, thanks. I've been doing all sorts of music this weekend. The early part of the stream was just me playing back some of the other projects. You would have heard two of them in some form on the previous stream. And there was one new thing I was playing, and then started something new. Yeah, this laptop fault is quite a doozy. I'd be better off with a desktop because I wouldn't trust this thing at a gig. But you also probably wouldn't get any money for this with a fault like this. So it's an interesting spot to be in. I think the best hope is probably to get my other laptop's CPU repasted with new thermal paste. I suspect then that machine will be able to do production streams again. It used to. Yeah. It's middle of winter here, so not doing much. I thought I had a gig today. Then I realized that they were answering all my questions except confirming the gig this weekend. So, oh well, not happening. It's all good. It was the last sunny day we'll have in a while too, I think. We've got, looks like, some rainy and colder days ahead for the next few weeks. Yeah, I wasn't muted all stream though. I had just someone coming through the room, so I switched the camera and the mic off, so there could be some privacy for those not expecting me to be live. 22. Hey, nice. I think we had 22 today. Yesterday was like 26. Was a beautiful day. But yeah, we are supposedly in winter, so a couple cooler days ahead. Not too surprising. A huge piece of a tree fell down today, like a big branch with lots of smaller branches on it. They were all dry. I think it had been falling in the last 3 days because every morning I was like moving more tree from our front door. Like the twigs were coming to the door where the door normally opens, which should have been a warning, because it was like, I'm sure it wasn't that low before, but it had obviously been slowly falling, and then we just heard this loud crash a couple hours ago. And luckily it landed somewhere pretty safe. If I'm glitching, by the way, I'm sorry about that. Every time it charges and uncharges, there's usually a glitch. And I can't hear it because I'm not monitoring my mic. But Reaper freaks out as soon as it happens. It's definitely keen to charge itself now, but not keen enough to actually charge itself. There we go. Oh, no. It's flashing. As soon as it's flashing, we get glitches in Reaper. Like that. Battery. Charging. Battery. Charging. And that is the sound of my life. I'm going to just leave it unplugged for a while and then try again later. Oh, how big was the tree? Be hard to say without putting out a picture. Possibly send it to myself on Telegram. And luckily it was all dried pieces, but it landed so conveniently where it was like the base of it was at the bottom of the stairs and all the twigs were coming up the stairs. And my friend downstairs was able to just hack away at it with a little small chainsaw. I send this to myself on Telegram. Yeah, it was pretty windy. So, quite funny. Because we'd heard it sort of scratching at the roof, and then suddenly a big thud. Yeah, so down there somewhere is the base. It's just a big branch, really, because the tree is there. Whoops, that didn't do what I thought it would. There we go. So yeah, that's the tree, and then the branch broke off somewhere here. There we go. You can actually see where it broke. There's where it broke. And so, I mean, from this perspective, you can see it was a fairly chunky branch. And the base, I think, goes all the way there. Yeah, he'd already started hacking away at it at this stage. But yeah, it came all the way up the stairs, basically. It's hard to see even from this perspective. I'm realizing quite how big it was. Ooh, charge light steady now. Oh, no, I spoke too soon. Yeah, I'd really like to charge it now. We've lost 10% in the last 5 minutes. At least it's making any contact. What I've also found sometimes is if I close Reaper, it stabilizes, but I'm also streaming. That might not work. It's like when the load to the system goes down, it stabilizes. Not today. It's a very strange intermittent issue. Anyway. Rolling sampler. Yes, I have been using it like when I was doing those kick drums. I would just grab them out of rolling sampler. I just come in here and grab it. Pretty cool. I bought it quite a while ago. It just wasn't in my template for some reason until the other day. I think on my other laptop it was. Oh yeah, I think the original version was actually for Reaper, and then he made a paid VST. I only found that out after buying the VST. So you might be right. But yeah, I'm happy to have supported the guy. Trying my luck with charging again. Funny because only in the last sort of 45 minutes or so have I had the issue. there was a good hour or so of the stream where everything was fine. Ah, jeez. And then I've had days where it's totally fine. Like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I feel like was fine. And then middle of yesterday, suddenly stopped again. We're about to be on the battery low side of things, so I might have to call it quits. It was a good run. Yeah, I'm tired of fiddling with that thing. Like, I've spent more time thinking about the battery than the music in the last half hour. All right. There's more I'd like to do, but not while I'm fiddling with the charger. I'm going to quickly play through this one again, see if there's anything I want to change. I think it's more or less done. I flipped the charger around and now it's charging. Nope. There we go. Flashing again. Oh boy. Starting to really lag. Really, really lag. Yeah. Ooh, charging. Okay. I want to do one last thing with this track. And that is maybe have this fading in. Like this. Ay, ay, ay. It's still on and off on the charger. Mostly off. But yeah. I think it reaches a point of battery low where it starts power saving, and then we get extra glitches even when it's not charging. That's fun. But yeah, I'm going to call it there, I think. Happy with how this track's turned out. Different kind of vibe for me. Wow, lagging big time. I don't even know if the stream's still going when it lags this badly. Like the little yeah. Hard. You too, man. Have a good evening. I don't know if this is even going through. It's lagging so badly.